Hi everyone, welcome to the talk by Simon Harrer and Rene Weinert from Breuninger. Together they will talk about the topic remote mob programming. My name is Lena and I'm here as a moderator. You are welcome to write questions in the chat, which you can see on the right side of the screen, and we have time after the talk to answer these questions. So now please, Simon and Rene, you can start.
Okay, thank you, Lena. So let's get down to it. In 2018, I had the privilege to start a new project, a greenfield project actually, with two of my colleagues, Martin and Jochen, at a customer. And the project was initially conceived as a remote project, which suited us very well. And we kind of ended up doing remote mob programming, basically from start. And 1 year later, well, we realized what remote mob programming really is. And I quote here Woody Sewell, it's all the brilliant people working on the same thing at the same time, at the same virtual space, at the same shared screen. And this is really a different way of developing software than the typical Scrum setup where you have developers working in parallel. Instead, you work at the same thing at the same time. And to me, this has been a game changer. And 1 year later, I know I don't want to work differently anymore. And it still holds true for today. It's been an astonishing experience. I really had the fear of feeling alone or feeling isolated in a remote project, because that was my first remote project. And I also moved quite to a remote location. So I was very far away from any offices that was available to me. So, and with remote mob programming, this fear didn't turn out to be true. So I've never felt more integrated into a team, more welcome in a team. We've created a safe space where we can talk about anything. We've grown together very, very closely because it is so intense collaboration. Actually, I'm in a Zoom meeting all day normally, and I've never ever had Zoom fatigue. But it's really the way software should be built, I think. The project was at the customer Breuninger, and I'm really glad today that we have our product owner from our team who works at Breuninger here with us, Rene, and he will introduce Breuninger to us. So please, Rene, go forward.
Thanks, Simon. I assume not everyone of you is familiar with what Breuninger does. We're a retailer for premium and luxury fashion and lifestyle. We have 11 department stores, mainly in southern Germany, and there we want to inspire and make our customers feel welcome. This is equally important in the ladies' shoe department in Stuttgart as it is in our online shop. The latter of which especially is rapidly growing in revenue and importance. And our goal is to create a true multi-channel experience. To do that, our software platform has been divided into vertical product teams and systems, which all deal with one particular step of the customer journey. For example, it usually starts with search or discovery. It ends with checkout. Well, it doesn't actually end with the checkout because that's where Simon's and my team comes in. So we have these independent teams, and our team is tasked with fulfillment planning and organizing. That sounds very abstract, but it basically just means that we receive orders from the online shop and make sure that the customer gets what he wants on time and in budget. For example, the first thing we do is we choose the optimal storage location for every order position. And this doesn't only include our main warehouse, but also our stores, where employees go shopping for the online customers, and even external partners. So we orchestrate a complex fulfillment network. But today it's not overly important what we do, but how we do it. And with that, back to Simon.
Okay, thanks, Rene. So today we want to take you with us on a day, or how we in our team perceive a day doing remote mob programming full time. And I want to show it from my perspective. So a day, or one of my day typically starts with a good cup of coffee. That's essential. Then I take my coffee, go upstairs into my home office and sit down right in front of my desk. I have a lot of hardware equipment here. If you're interested in any of those, we have a dedicated website for that, effectivehomeoffice.com. The link is on the upper corner, where we describe, for instance, why I have a CO2 sensor right in the middle, or why I've chosen the Blue Yeti as a microphone, which stands right next to the screen. In the morning, I'll typically check emails alone, and hopefully there aren't that much. And then I'm opening Zoom, and that's basically it's the first thing I do. And what I do is I join our virtual team room. It's a Zoom meeting that's always open. Everybody can, with, well, obviously the password, can join the room or leave. It's always there. So, well, in the morning, I'm the first. Nobody's there yet. The pictures was taken, I think, day before yesterday. Then Jochen, one of my team members, joins, and we have a little bit of small talk. And then Rene joins because he wants to show his pride for the VfB Stuttgart. He was very happy that they are doing quite well. And then Christoph joins, and then Rene has to leave, and Lorraine joins. So that's basically the team I've worked with yesterday and the day before. And here I want to point out a few things that are special, how we work. First, notice like everybody has their camera on. I think that's very important because we collaborate so intensely that we always want to see, well, how the people react to what we say. And this doesn't work when you only have voice. Second, everybody has positioned their camera so you can talk with them and look them in the eye while you talk with them. So it really creates this immersive feeling when we discuss something. Third, no one is muted. That's important because if you play this mute-unmute game, you can't really have a spontaneous discussion. It's much easier if you don't. And fourth, no one is wearing a headset, because if you are in a Zoom session 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, this doesn't doesn't go well together. So that's why we invested in hardware to get a good experience. We invested in a great Wi-Fi, or no, great internet without Wi-Fi. Basically, we try to use cable as much as possible, and in other equipment to make sure this experience is good. So yeah, let's get to work. And this is basically how 90% of my working day, what I see. I see someone sharing a screen. Normally I see IntelliJ, some code. And on the right-hand side, I see all the people in the team. That's basically 90% of my working day now, or for the last 2.5 years. And well, we have a special mode where how we do that. That the person that shares the screen, we call the typist. And that's the person that controls the keyboard. That's the only one who can type and who has control of the screen share. And all the others are part of the rest of the mob. And they discuss the problem, they figure out solutions, and they instruct the typist. So the typist is like a high-level API that the rest of the mob gets. They can issue a command like add, I don't know, we have to split the name field of the customer in a first name and a last name field. And this could be a very high level command, and a good typist already knows what to do. And if it's more a junior typist, you would say, okay, let's first go into the customer class and create two new properties, first name and last name. And we keep the normal name property at first to enable a migration. No? And we can give more detailed instructions, even down to, okay, now type enter, now press those keyboard bindings, etc., etc. The interesting thing is we rotate this role, this typist role. So for us, it's every 10 minutes, the typist changes. This is important because when you have someone very dominant in the discussion in the rest of the mob, and when they become the typist, they are silenced for 10 minutes. And this is very healthy for a team. And as a typist, you have to stay engaged. So it's very important to become a typist once in a while. So how do we hand over? Well, when the typist change, we change the screen share, but how do we hand over the code? That's a little bit more difficult. For that, we use a temporary Git branch with work in progress commits. Doing that manually by hand is really cumbersome. So what we did, we developed a little tool. It's a command line tool written in Go. It's actually quite popular with over 300 stars at the moment and over 4,000 downloads. And well, it even works on Apple Silicon. So the M1 chip, we are ready. And with this tool, well, that's our workflow, and I want to show the workflow to you now. So let's assume we want to develop a feature, and Lorraine will begin. And she opens the screen share, opens IntelliJ, opens the project, loads IntelliJ, and then goes to the command line and issues a mob start. Mob start basically creates a work in progress branch, pushes that branch to the Git remote, and the 10 at the end means a timer is also started, a 10-minute timer. And when this 10-minute timer is over, Lorraine will get through her speakers the text said mob next. Then we work together. Lorraine is in the role of the typist, and the rest of the mob will give her instructions. And well, if the 10 minutes are over and she hears this mob next through her speakers, she just keys in mob next and it's done. She can close the screen share, and Christoph will take over, who's next in line in this case. And he also opens the screen share, types in mob start 10, and that's it. Because this mob start command will now switch to the work in progress branch and pulls all the commits. In this case, the commit that Lorraine made through mob next. So we can basically start where Lorraine left off. Then we work together, and after the 10 minutes, Christoph will again type in mob next. So last, Jochen, it's his turn. He will also issue a mob start, screen share is switched, etc. Then he will type in the stuff we say, and then we decide, the rest of the mob decides, okay, we're now done. The feature is now complete. We've written every test. We refactored everything we want to refactor. Yeah, we think it can go to production. So Jochen will write mob done. And this will put all the changes in the staging area of our main branch. And then when everything is in the changing area, you can just do a git commit with a sensible git commit message. And with a git push, it's pushed to the remote main branch. And as we are doing real continuous delivery, when the tests pass, we automatically deploy into production. Yeah, that's our workflow. And I want to take this opportunity to shout out a greeting to Lorraine, Christoph, Jochen, and also Nico as part of the team. Hello, and it's really awesome to work with you and doing remote mob programming. And the team, we are now at the moment 5 developers. Well, there's a little bit of, it made an evolution or evolvement, I would say. We started off with 3 developers, and well, we had a lot of parental leaves. I think we are now down to 4 parental leaves, like 4 children have been born by developers or in this project, which is awesome, I think. And yeah, remote mob programming works extremely well with 3 to 4 developers, and I think it also offers the best benefit cost ratio. So small teams are very effective. The larger the team gets, the more cumbersome it becomes, because you always want to make sure that everybody becomes a typist at least once an hour, at best once half an hour. And yeah, for that, really have to keep it short. The Git handover. So it's really a good cost benefit ratio with I think for developers, because then one developer could be absent and you still can form a mob with the remaining 3 developers. One thing I want to notice, we have had a lot of onboardings, as you can see when the graph grew. And onboarding is really, really awesome when you're doing remote mob programming. We are doing it that way. So on the first day, people start, a new developer starts. Everybody in the team makes sure that everything is set up on that first day. And at the end of the day, this new developer can make a commit that goes to production. And on the second day, everything is back to normal. We just do everything we did before. So basically, I can say onboarding takes 1 day. And then there's offboarding. Well, offboarding is basically waving goodbye. That's it. We don't do any offboarding procedures. Well, of course, we do a little bit like removing credentials, rotating credentials that we have to do. But there's no knowledge transfer necessary. No one has to write up documentation before they leave. No handover session, nothing. It's just, for instance, I went on parental leave because my daughter was born in January. And I just waved goodbye. And then 2 months later, I came back and yeah, that was it. There's no preparation for that. And I think that's a really great experience for everybody. And we can do that because the knowledge, the knowledge is so distributed that doesn't matter if I'm not away for 2 months. Coming now to the major advantage of remote mob programming, which I think is this constant momentum. You don't block yourself, because what you basically do, you take one feature, you start developing it, and when you're done, you push it to production. And you don't have to wait for code reviews. You don't do any feature branches. There are no context switching. You just work through the feature, get it done, and then move to the next. And then it's like, it feels like an escalator. So you get it on the escalator, and that escalator moves very slowly, and it takes some time. But then when the feature's done, you're at the top, and then there's the next escalator waiting, the next feature you want to tackle. The thing is, this makes it's like a kick, and it feels so good that it's really like, for the constant momentum, we need a constant reminder of taking breaks, because if you don't take breaks, it gets extremely exhausting. And we experienced that at the beginning, and this was not nice. That was not good. But apart from coding, we also do all the other things together. For instance, we conceptualize together, we design together. For instance, in this case, using the Miro whiteboard, the collaborative whiteboard. For that, some of us have gotten some iPads with a pencil to write in. And a lot of our time we are living in the Confluence or Atlassian tools or in Jira, and write tickets together, decide on architectural decisions together. Yeah, all these things. Sometimes we write emails together. It's really everything goes through this very, very good quality assurance process, I would say. This implicit code review that happens all the time. And what I'm really proud of, that at the moment, or in the last few months, we started to do data science together with Rene and analyzed our data. And this was really awesome because Rene brought his business expertise and we brought our SQL expertise. And together we were really fast in discovering the secrets that were hidden in our data we collected now over a year. Coming now to a very important topic in this remote mob programming setting. Well, it's basically trust. We were lucky that Breuninger believes in self-organizing teams, and we were given enough trust so we could try it out. But this just when you look at those words, remote triggers an inherent fear of losing control, because like you can't see people working, you really have to trust them. You can't see them in the office where they sit on their tables from management. And like remote programming always has this inherent issue of couldn't you be more productive if you work in parallel instead of everybody works at the same thing? So trust is like very, very central to be able to do remote mob programming. And we try to build trust actively by actively communicating. And that's why we write a daily check-in in our team chat. And that's very important. So everybody has like an insight in what happens in our team. And that's an example of such a check-in. I've written the first one. The second is for Martin, who has now moved on to another project. And it's basically how we end our day. And it's interesting because it's not just for us, it's also for a lot of other people at Breuninger. So we can pinpoint a lot of interesting discussions happening because people read our check-ins. And at one point, a major critical bug was prevented because someone has read our check-in and said, sorry, I think we miscommunicated with you on that issue, and you shouldn't push that to production, or well, actually you shouldn't enable the feature flag in a few days because that would be bad. That was really, really awesome. So that's basically how our day in remote mob programming ends. Okay, we now have a black screen. That's strange. Okay, let me check. Okay, I don't know what's happening now. But what I'm always doing when something doesn't, like when I don't know what to do, I'll issue a PO signal. That's a small tool we created where we can click, and the signal issues a small message in our Rocket chat where we communicate, signaling Rene, our product owner, and he can just enter our chat with one click. And obviously we measure that. So we measure the time between we issue this command and until he clicks on the link. And at the moment, he has a very good 95 percentile of under 1 minute. So now PO signal, please Rene, help me here. And you're muted.
Yeah, I'll try my best. And I'm glad we can pick up here because I'd like to add my perspective on what Simon just said about trust. And because that was something I struggled with at the beginning, or I had to learn at the beginning, because there's an inherent risk that the product owner feels left behind. And that made me insecure. And on two levels, I guess. The first level is the social level. Simon already said there's a very, very close collaboration among the developers. which at the same time means a larger gap between them and me if I'm not constantly part of the mob, which unfortunately all those meetings and emails don't allow. And for me, it was helpful to regularly show up within the mob, be it for planning meetings, for contributing, or really just small talk and bragging about VfB Stuttgart. But there's also something else on the professional level. The mob decides many things on the fly, which is amazing because it enables them to really move forward fast. For me, that meant giving up some control. And over time, I learned that the decisions made were good and that I could fully trust them up in what they were discussing and deciding. However, it's incredibly good to know if there are some really important decisions to be made. The PO signal will call me. I show up and we discuss. So one of the most important issues for the product owner or other people dealing with the mob team is building trust. And I did that by just looking at what the mob provides for me. So the question I'm going to answer in the next few minutes is, what's in it for me as a product owner? I compare my experiences with teams I work together with in a more conventional way. The first point, one of the most important ones, is we have extremely high software quality. Over the last 2 years, it's been a handful of bugs, I guess, but really a handful, and not a single real incident that we had to cope with. That, by the way, also includes having very few conceptual gaps. Some edge cases we forgot to think about. Because as there are so many brains involved in the whole process, not just the planning, we cover almost everything, almost all of the time. This has an obvious business impact. We don't lose revenue, we don't hurt customers, but it also means that we can spend our time working on features instead of scrambling for fixing bugs. It also means that we have a lot of confidence in what we do. We're proud of what we're doing, and we're also not afraid to deploy on Friday afternoons. We sleep well at night, both figuratively, as we know, things usually don't break, but also literally. Simon mentioned before, a lot of us have small kids, so we value a good night of sleep very highly. This high quality is also tied to our fast time to market. It basically enabled a good time to market. As Simon already pointed out, we focus on one topic after the other, and we don't block ourselves. No code reviews, no manual testing, and no delays by first deploying to some staging environments. We directly deploy to production. And that means we have a minimal lead time for new features. It's pretty obvious, I guess, but I really want to point out that this has some tangible business impact because we capitalize on our valuable features earlier and longer. For example, if we update some business rules to make more stock from our department stores available online, being productive with that 1 or 2 days earlier means 1 or 2 more days customers can buy these products. That is a direct impact on revenue. It is a bit dangerous because the expectations are pretty high, and we have a reputation that we react quickly. And then it sometimes happens that on Friday around noon, I get a call, and it's in summer, Someday it was a call by logistics operations telling me they had a problem in the new warehouse we just opened a couple of weeks ago. They had a significant number of orders which were blocked because some stock needed to be transferred from legacy warehouses and department stores to the new central warehouse. Per se, that's not unexpected, but because of certain circumstances, this led to a deadlock in certain processes. So I told him not to worry. I fired up Zoom, joined the mob, and within the next 2 hours or so, we first conceived new business rules for splitting these orders and thereby effectively unblocking them. We coded those business rules, we deployed them, and this helped in the end our customers over the weekend getting way better delivery times as they would have been otherwise. And the good thing about that is we were not working in panic mode. It was basically usual mode with maybe a tiny sense of urgency involved. There's 2 more points I want to touch briefly. Everyone's an expert. Our knowledge is spread. Simon already said that, so individual availability doesn't really matter. This reduces risk. The buzz factor is more or less equal to our team size. So there's always someone available I can ask about anything, or someone that could react if really something bad happened. It also means that I am pretty flexible in my roadmap planning and my sprint planning, because it means we can work on the most valuable topic at any time and not on the most feasible one with whoever's available this sprint. A bonus is that in addition to not having handovers if a developer is on vacation or parental leave, it also means no other product owners filling in for me while I'm on vacation. The mob team covers that. And last but not least, reliability. The escalator is running. We have a constant pace, rather constant output, at least predictable output. And again, we're not dependent on individuals, which basically just means that we've never missed a deadline over the last 2 years. And I don't expect that to change anytime soon. So with that being said, that's basically why I gained a lot of trust in this approach. And Simon, do you want to summarize and wrap it up?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Yeah, well, I don't want to work differently anymore, and that's for sure for me. But how about you, Rene? You worked with us now for, I don't think, a year now. What's
1.5 actually?
Yeah, 1.5. Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying I won't ever, if circumstances require, won't ever work differently. But actually, right now, I don't know why I should. I have really, I'm really high on this approach because it's so simple. It just proved successful and it works, and that's the best I can expect.
Okay, great. So maybe this is really the teamwork everyone is talking about. Okay, so we're now basically at the end. If you want to know more, curious about remote mob programming, we have a dedicated website for that on remotemobprogramming.org. where you can also get an PDF, an ebook we can read, and a lot of other links and information. So basically we're now done. But one more thing. So we are doing remote mob programming now for 2.5 years, and this is really a long time. And over those months and years, I've experienced such an intense collaboration. I've grown together with the team, and it basically feels like we're doing a team building exercise every day, because you work so closely with each other. And I've got to know a lot of awesome people that I'm really thankful for. And now we've developed an amazing product that I want to show you today. And it's called the Remote Mob Programming Experience. It's a team event, a team building team event using remote mob programming, because we think that that is the perfect way for a team building exercise in today's times. Because since COVID-19, now many work from home, and the typical team events, being it rafting, going bowling, I don't know what else, are postponed and canceled. And Christmas celebrations are, yeah, well, done a little bit in Microsoft Teams or so, but they're not that great when you think about that and when you experience them. And with this workshop, with this team event, we offer really a unique form where you can still work from home and it still makes a lot of fun and you can grow as a team together. We already did this once with Rewe Digital, and as Stefan here says, it was a lot of fun and he can strongly recommend that. So maybe you surprise your team with this event as a Christmas gift. There's still time, just contact us. And as a special gift, we raffle 5 slots for a free remote mob programming experience event. Just scan this code with your phone. And we also, I think, post the link. Lena, maybe you can share this link to the Google form. You just post in your email and we will do the raffle tomorrow because it's really late now. And then we will inform 5 people and they will form a team and we will host this interesting event with them. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. Thank you, Rene. So we have quite a few questions in the chat, so more than a few, but we just have about 8 minutes. So we are not able to answer all of the questions, but Jochen showed up in the meantime and answered some of them. So just let me pick some questions so we can answer a few of them. Okay, how strict are you with having the driver quiet?
We try to have this quite strict, but it's a really tough topic, because staying quiet when you think you have a better solution, it's really tough. I know that from myself, and it's a learning process. It never ends. So we try to, but we are not always that successful in there, I have to admit.
Okay. So we have a few questions about this topic. Is the team is all developers? So you have no non-developers in the mob, right?
Well, actually we have Rene who joins more and more now.
Mm-hmm.
So it has increased over time, I think. And I think it's basically, well, I think he values the time there, because like doing data science, for instance, where we can really join hands, but not like no dedicated tester, QA, other roles. What sometimes happens that other people from other teams join us, for instance, when we have to discuss or integrate. And then it's really helpful if someone from another team who knows the API or the process, how we should integrate with them, comes to our mob, and we will do this interactively with them.
So that means you have no, that's another question, no kind of agile coach or scrum master with you.
That's a great one. We had 1 or 2 contact points with agile coaches, and they all realized we work so intensely together. We do retros whenever they are needed, like on demand, because otherwise it doesn't work. With this intense collaboration, you really need to react to things going wrong quickly, because otherwise this really escalates. Mm-hmm. That's why you don't really need someone to help you with that, because if you don't get it right yourself, you don't always have access to that HR coach. So basically we handle that ourselves.
Do you still write documentation?
Yes, but very short and succinct and to the point. It's basically the minimal amount that gets the most out of it, like an 80-20% rule. What I want to add is we don't care really anymore about Git commit messages. That's a very interesting observation, because the knowledge is so well distributed in our minds. We don't really care about the great Git commit history I would normally care for in open source projects.
Okay, Rene, is the role of the product owner in mob programming really any different than in a traditional team? So because PO wouldn't be involved in deciding how features get implemented and so on. So do you feel like it's really different?
I think on a high level, it's not, because the main tasks remain the same. Knowing your business, being able to effectively prioritize, of course, doing a lot of the outside communication with stakeholders and etc. However, on the day-to-day work, there are some differences, as I tend not to prepare stories as much in detail as I used to in the past, as I figured that usually during our discussions, we develop that way more effectively and maybe even more efficiently. So I'm usually involved. We have regular planning meetings, and we do some things on the fly with the PO signal, but in a slightly different way.
Mm-hmm. Simon, you still do some automated tests in the mob?
Yeah, that's basically our only safeguard before we deploy to production. So basically automated tests, unit tests, integration tests using test containers. That's what we do. Our second gateway is a rolling update on Kubernetes. So if this fails, if the new pods aren't getting up and running, the update will stop. That's the second gateway, but that's it.
Okay. So how many people have been part of the team in the whole time where you've been there? So how many onboardings, offboardings have been there?
We started with 3. Peak was 7 developers. We're now down to 5. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this gets you roughly the idea.
But maybe it's important to state that during the time we've had 7 developers, oftentimes the mob would split up.
Okay.
Yeah, with 7 people, it's not feasible anymore. But maybe one thing to say, at that time when we were 7 people, some people worked at the Breuninger office, an open floor plan office, and they decided to come to our Zoom virtual room every day for 8 hours. So they sat in this open floor office and joined our room because in their perspective, it was the right way, the best way to develop this software. Even they could have said to us, we don't want to work in this mode anymore. That was really astonishing. I was really convinced about the method then.
So you never sat with the whole team in an office with a big screen and did it not remotely? No,
not really. Maybe sometimes where we met, but it's like maybe 2 days in total. But it didn't. Yeah, it felt really better doing it from home.
Okay, so we have 1 minute, so maybe just one last question. Did the mob programming pattern influence to other teams at Breuninger?
In part it did. A couple of teams, especially 1 or 2 teams we've worked with together more closely, started adapting it from time to time. So not working exclusively in the mob, but doing it, I don't know, once a week or maybe also some days within a week. Yeah, so it started to gain some traction. However, we're still the only full-time mob team.
Okay. So we're in the end right now. That's it. We have still a few questions, but we're out of time. So thank you very much, Simon and Rene. Thank you, Jochen, for stepping in the chat. And yeah, I say goodbye for tonight. Have a good night. And yeah, thank you to be part of the INNOQ Technology Day.
Bye-bye. Happy mob programming.
Yeah. Bye-bye.